All right, just a couple of us here, but let's make this quick. We'll breeze over this real quick. Let me just pull this up. All right. I don't know if you caught up on this yet, Bogey, but did you see this tweet earlier today?
Oh no.
All right, this is the
No.
CEO of Improbable. I'm sure you're familiar with Improbable on the other side.
Yeah. What? What?
All right, we got Layer in here too.
And this is a serious tweet?
We're gonna go over it right now, and we can gauge, if this means anything. Is this guy just testing the waters, or what's going on?
Dude.
Let's take a look here. Just gonna jump. All right, shout out to Layer.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, so let's cover this real quick. Herman Narula, who's of course the Improbable.io co-founder, CEO. Improbable, of course, the game engine that powers other sites. Anyhow, he asks, should we buy Artifact? Followed by, if we did, would build an other side meta compatible metaverse, import all the avatars to this msquared.io, launched a new, whatever this network's called. What is this? I've never even heard of this.
No, I've never.
Somnia Network on chain. Yeah, Somnia Network on chain assets, probably a coin which airdropped to all holders. Unsure if we should, though. Still makes you wonder, is this guy just testing waters, or is there something going on? Now, I'm going to be upfront with you guys. I heard some rumors that there might be some kind of sales talk happening in the background at Nike. I don't know if anybody heard anything like that.
No, I haven't heard that. So they might actually sell it?
I don't know if it's total bullshit. I don't know if it's just a rumor, but I heard something like that yesterday. Some really, really flimsy rumor. But then I see this posted today, and it makes me kind of wonder: is there something to this rumor?
If they did, that would be crazy.
You know what? Then this would actually be like a good home for it to go. Like one of the original visions or like hopes for Artifact or CloneX in particular was some kind of metaverse, right? Some kind of metaverse play, metaverse integration. So to actually see this possibly come to life, this could be good. This could be a good direction, good place for it to go. Shoutouts to GI, or is it GL? I can never tell.
Yeah, I think this would be amazing. How much do you think we're talking about, though?
I'll cover that in the next couple of comments as I scroll this thread. Shoutouts to Obliu in the chat. All right, a couple of people showing up. This isn't bad. Just to catch you guys up, we're looking at this tweet here.
So I saw this tweet earlier today too. But like, why do they need? They don't need to like own Artifact to build this all out and import the characters in.
It could be like a good addition to their roster, right? Like besides BC, right? Bored Apes. Why not bring, like here's another full-fledged 3D collection ready to go. Like, because it's otherwise, like, how else do you like build out the potential roster of collections, right?
Yeah.
This one's like ready, like out of the box, 3D assets, so, and it's an established brand in Web3. It kind of makes sense maybe to fold them in to what they're doing, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Especially, I don't know if anybody was involved in that playtest. They did they tried to do that world record.
That was crazy. That was chaos.
It was pure chaos. I'm not convinced that this is what gamers are looking for, is that kind of chaos in a multiplayer map.
I didn't even know I was cheating.
but my one takeaway from that was kind of like a lack of the numbers. Like nobody really came through. They were looking for what 1,500 people to break the record, and like
Yeah.
they didn't really. They got close, but not quite. And it just kind of shows that even though it was open, that wasn't like it was exclusive to Bored Ape or Yuga people. It was like open to everybody, and they still couldn't get 1,500 people to show up. So makes me think like, is this a way like if they consider that like a little bit of a fail, that they didn't get enough people to show up, maybe one way to expand the numbers into like, more bigger attendance to these types of things is by, getting another community involved, right? Like if you fold in clones, that could easily double the numbers they attracted from the Yuga crowd, right?
Yeah.
At least that's my thing. All right, shout outs to the new people who joined the chat. We're just covering this tweet came out today from the Improbable CEO about a potential acquisition. I presume you guys maybe already know about this. We're going to read a couple comments here before we move. Here's him asking for a crowdsourced document. Asking people to put down some input. We can quickly build up a viewpoint on what the value would be, what a strategy might be. I kind of replied to him, and I'm like, some of us are already working on a CTO. Maybe you'd want to take a look at what we have in mind. Might provide some direction forward. This guy, Aspen Shredder, says you would not only be buying a brand, but also gaining a very large set of creators. The amount of talent in the community is mind-blowing. Which is a good point.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
Here's a question, or this must be in response because I noticed some people asking about the money, and this is I think a general comment. We absolutely do have the money. The question is, would they sell? Not so much if we could buy. Which I think is like the question on everybody's mind. Like, even if a buyer was available, would Nike let it go? This guy asks only if you want to develop the story. I agree, lore needs to be a priority. Artifact News, of course, hyping the idea of an artifact city where 20,000 clones could potentially show up. I mean, yes, this was the original dream. I'm just not convinced many people here are actually here to game or join anything. Like, you do anything on, we've had the ability to kind of load our avatars into OnCyber. Whoever actually goes into OnCyber and does anything like that. Most people in Web3 want to do Twitter Spaces. They're not looking to actually game or do like actual 3D stuff. So I have to sometimes question these things. But hey, I would never ever turn down the opportunity to somehow integrate into other side or join this game engine. I mean, that would be a dream come true. I'm just a little skeptical anybody would actually give a shit.
Yeah, I agree. I can't see myself every day going, do they stay as a shooting game, or could it be an open world game? I guess that's to the point you just made, though.
I mean, it's hard to, I guess, don't know for sure, but I kind of get the impression that, like, during the off hours, off events, it's like an open world, do whatever type of thing, and then they host like big events that include, big battle royales or concerts and that kind of thing. So I guess there could be stuff that's like actual gaming scheduled, and then there's everything else is like open world, I guess. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what the future vision for other side is exactly.
Yeah, that's the harder part, right? I feel if I knew what other side could be for real, this would make 10 times more sense. I still like it though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a kind of technology enthusiast, so I appreciate what they're doing. I don't want to hate on it too much.
No. Yeah, agreed.
I just think that like it's like in this weird crossroads, it's like it's a social thing, but it's also trying to be a game, but can it compete with other games? Like, do people like, is this really like a shooter anybody wants to play? Do Web3 people want to actually go and play this? Because normally, like, you want to fire up a shooter, you're going to go play Call of Duty or Battlefield or whatever your thing is, right? Like, how are you going to compete with that? With this, so this is like a more casual type of like massive online experience, but like do people really want this level? Like, does something like this really excite people? Is there like a cap? Like a Battlefield game with like 60 or 120 people is already like maybe as big as a decent gaming experience gets. So is it overkill to try to bring this many people in? It makes sense if you're hosting a concert or like a big event, but I really do question like, does this really going to work for thing? But I don't want to hate on it. Again, I'm a technology enthusiast, so let them build it, see what comes of it. I don't want to hate, and Lord knows it would be so sweet to see something like the homie described here, Artifact City, an opportunity for more people to connect.
Oh
All right,
man,
comment from Chameleon here. Perfect merging of incredible tech stack and community and assets to fill out a massive next gen world. You know what? That's a good take. I do see this as a potential filling out.
I would love to see the lore, uh, any of the lore, actually be built out into like kind of like an interactive lore. So there's the main story, and then you're just part of it. I would love to do that. I guess it would be like if anybody's into anime, I guess it's Sword Art Online. Is that the name of the anime? I don't know why it's escaping me right now.
Not ringing bells.
Okay, let me look it up because I feel like I.
But yeah, I'm personally trying to cook something like that up that's kind of anime-esque, something like out of a man, some big, really wide-scale story that's worthy of a manga or an anime. That would be the dream.
Yeah, yeah, I think yeah, that'd be amazing.
Let's cover a couple more comments. Sounds interesting. Khan asks if this is real. Happy Scan says, short answer, yes, do it. Long answer, this fit is insane. The community stands ready. I do agree this could fit what they're doing very well. Directive creator, he's a big Yuga personality. He says absolutely not. And you'll notice a lot of Yuga people in the comments here are going to say no to this idea. I think they find this like they're spreading themselves too thin. The counter argument, especially if you're in the Yuga camp, is like, no, man, focus on bringing this to Bored Apes. Focus on bringing value to the Yuga ecosystem. So maybe they're going to feel a little uncomfortable seeing another project folded into this thing. But I mean, hey, it's a metaverse, right? It's meant to be kind of cross compatible, is it not?
I would hope so. Yeah.
Let's see a couple more comments. This guy Baron says you should try and acquire the IP rights to the artifact collections. Your plans sound, but more is also needed for proper IP exploitation. Artifact community full of builders. They should give more leeway to develop IP rights. Yeah. So what he's getting at is something that's obviously in a lot of people's minds, especially if you surf some of the CTO discussions we had so far. And that is, it's tough to build if the IP rights aren't secure or released. And I mean, you would hope what's implied with an acquisition is that they collect everything, the brand and the IP rights, which would then, kind of open this up. But yeah, that's a big priority. Whether we do like a CTO, a soft CTO, acquisition, no acquisition, a big priority for some of us here is to somehow get more of the IP rights, if not all of them, would be great.
I'm trying to think what. So the things that we maybe couldn't get, would it be the Murakami stuff, or there has to be some limitation there?
Um, I maybe, but like to me, like the stuff that's off the table would be um the Nike branded stuff. Like you can't expect them to acquire Artifact and be able to use like the Dunk Genesis stuff. You know, um,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
something like the Nike, anything like with a Nike swoosh on it and Nike wearable stuff. But that's okay because that stuff we can just like kind of forget about. Discard that.
yeah.
The important part would be, I think, in my opinion, the main value here would be the clone avatars and the Animus companions. So like those are the two main ones. Shout outs to Greensifer in the chat. All right, let's cover a couple more comments and we'll move on. Yep, this guy's another vote of confidence. This guy rightfully points out only if it's not at a premium, mixed bag of goods, but a mixed bag. Oh yeah, mixed bag of damaged goods. Here is when he kind of points out, which I agree. You know, there is quite a bit of a bad, I guess, rep still haunting, still the cloud hanging over Artifact.
Yeah, say the least.
Best case scenario, I agree. Of course, if the IP can be transferred, so a lot of people are obviously concerned about IP. But quite a few replies all saying do it.
I mean, at the very least, it frees us from Nike. Anything that could initiate that, I think, is positive.
Oh, this is like the best news. Even if this goes nowhere and this is the guy just kind of shooting the breeze, this would be a great development. You'll see some comments like this: focus on the other side, don't spread yourself too thin. This guy points out, buy it, but if you can buy out Murakami's IP, yep, of course, obviously we'd want to like just split it up. It would have to be with the all the Murakami stuff coming along. This guy points out what Artifact did really well was innovate on digital physical sneakers. They went off with the CloneX avatars, left their core behind. You know what? Like I think this is an opportunity to leave behind. Like that's why that's one of my replies to this is it's not so much an Artifact acquisition. It's more of like a CloneX Animus acquisition because like Artifact is going to be difficult to separate from Nike. And Artifact to me is more of an apparel brand at this point than it is like an actual digital avatar. Like it's kind of associated to me with the forgeables and the physicals and the Nike stuff. So one of my replies was something along those lines of think of it less as acquiring Artifact and more that we're gonna go with the CloneX avatars. So like the meat of what I think they should be acquiring is the digital side. Not so much like the apparel physical side, which is what this guy points out.
I agree with that.
Comment here, focus on your existing product, and so on and so on. If you haven't checked this out yet, if you're just joining the chat, be sure to check this out on Twitter. But all right, let's hop into the white paper real quick. See if you guys have any feedback. Mostly just Bogey here. That's okay. We'll shoot the breeze with Bogey. So you checked out the white paper already, Bogey?
Yeah, I read through it for sure.
All right. Well, in that case, I won't go over too much detail, but I will cover a couple things that I did update just today.
Okay.
All right, so this first part labeled Phase 1, this proved to be pretty contentious, and that's, of course, with kicking the founders. I'm just going to read this back to you. Founder exile proven to be a contentious issue. While a plurality of holders lean in favor of excommunicating the founders, others feel the narrative benefit will be short-lived and not in keeping with the spirit of Web3 openness. Furthermore, the founders could prove to be valuable advocates on behalf of the community toward negotiations with Nike to release more IP rights to us. The founders have resources and connections that could be leveraged in our favor, regardless of how we feel about them. So, so the idea, of course, is that this is something people brought up, was that like a lot of people were obviously hyped to the idea of kicking them and making a big statement, right? That's kind of what the original intent of this was. So definitely have at least like a decent amount of people who are all for that. but quite a few people voiced it as being a little too cruel, maybe not within the spirit of Web3, right? Like, the first thing you do as a CTO, as a Web3 CTO, is blacklist people. That doesn't sound like very open, and decentralized. A lot of people thought that was just taking it a little too far. And then several voices were saying that we still have a big elephant in the room of IP, and how do you wrangle that? What you really need is a connect into Nike to kind of negotiate that whole IP matter. So why would you cut off founders if they're your one of your best ways, one of your best resources to leverage um, in negotiations with Nike, right? They're the ones that might get you in the door, be able to like free some of the IP. So let's not be too rash here and immediately throw them overboard. So this section here I label as the new 1.5C aims to cover that. I'm going to read this now. So given all this, we should consider a less hostile approach. Founders will have their founder and artifact team roles removed in the Discord, but they will not be banned or removed from the community. Instead, they'll have their status reduced to CloneX holders to put them on equal standing with us, the holders. Founders will not be blacklisted from governance or airdrops. No further punitive action will be taken towards the founder. So again, we don't really have to go so far as sticking it to them. It could be just as simple as like stripping them of their, previous founder roles in the Discord, and if you've seen the white paper, we want to kind of reorganize and remove the former team roles and add a new kind of CTO based team roles. So just put them in equal footing with everybody else. Not outright kicking and banning. So kind of like a middle ground approach to what was previously proposed. Cut them down to size a little bit, but don't completely exile them. That might be a little too vindictive, too just kind of on the wrong foot. And again, it's short-lived, right? Like it might be a hype statement to make today, but longer term, maybe we benefit from not so much as having them, directly involved in CTO operations, but rather just have them as useful allies in your corner, because there still could be things that they could provide, the least of which could be, money and resources to help fund this.
Right. I mean, 100% agree. I also think like probably one of the worst punishments is to have to be around for everybody to always to say whatever they have on their mind, as you clearly aren't a leader anymore of your own project. So, for the other half that want them gone just to prove a point, I think having them around as being equal to you is just as big of a point.
Yeah, definitely. And I had some time to think about it after the last stream, and there was like a pretty lengthy discussion in the Discord about this. There's a channel in here called CTO Discussion, and Benito came through for the first time in forever and actually engaged with the chat. And
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, motherfuckers dogpiled him like big time. Immediately wanted him to like. He wanted to crucify the dude on the spot. So it's pretty hostile and everything. They gave me kind of time to think on it and realize that like. Like I really do get where people are coming from. I was all for this idea of really putting the screws to them, but ultimately that's just like resentful, and that's not really going to get you super far. Maybe you accomplish more by letting bygones be bygones. It's not about getting them directly involved in what we're going to do from here on out. It's not about even forgiving them or anything like that.
Right.
It's just about being like strategic, right? It's about like realizing that like these guys could still be one of your best points of leverage. So why write them out just out of resentment? Let's not necessarily embrace them, but use them as best we can. That was kind of like the gist of the back and forth in the CTO discussion. So I kind of have to agree with that. I don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I mean, you can always boot them, right? But getting them back would be the hardest thing. So if you ever needed their pull or their influence or whatever they have still, if they do. Like, if after you've exiled them, you could probably. I doubt they'll want to talk to you after that. But showing some little olive branch, I think. Again, like you said, you can extract as much as you can from them. Then, if there's another discussion, all right, thank you, but we're good. That's a different thing. But yeah, you
Yep.
can't like unexile, but you can always exile.
Yeah, and a lot of the community did feel like it was a little too harsh, and that it's we're being, especially when Benito showed up in the chat, like he just got flamed on the spot, absolutely roasted, and quite a few people were like objecting that, going like, "What are you doing? Like, like what's done is done. Don't drive this guy away. This guy could be like one of your aces in the hole. You might need him to kind of keep the conversation going over at Nike and trying to leverage what you can, right? So I feel that, and so I kind of amended the white paper a bit to reflect a more reasoned approach.
Did he ever reply? I know he said he was gonna go through the white papers and then share his opinion, but did he?
No, he didn't. He did not.
Well, we can't make him learn a new. We can't make him understand a lesson. That's just, I guess he is who
Um,
he is.
I'm definitely gonna hit him up again and be like, yo, I added like a bit more here. We've kind of come around a little bit more. Although the white paper was not explicitly like, ban him. Period. Like they had
No, no, I don't
I
think
had
that.
two options, right? So I didn't want to be too unbiased, right? So I had two options. So when even if he was reading it, as long as he read the next paragraph, he'd see that like we're debating going between letting it go and kind of bringing them back in and letting them give a chance to have their little recovery arc, or we could just put the hammer down on them, right? So like at least I hope that even without this recent section I added here, I hoping that he understands that like we're still debating it, there's still some conversation here, and I approached him under like, hey man, I specifically want your feedback. How do you feel about this section? Which way is it going to go? And then of course there's the other matter, which is like Connie, who runs, he's the admin of the Discord here. He's tight with the founders. He's an OG. He's been with the project since they launched it.
Yeah,
And so, it's like we're putting him in an awkward spot. Like, say we decide to go ahead and put the hammer down on the founders. Well, that puts him in a bad spot because it's kind of like, he's buds with them, but he's the server admin. Is he going to be cool with doing that? And that's another, like, I've been trying to get his feedback on this. Like, hey man, like, are you going to be cool if we say, if this is our idea and we're willing to go ahead with this, are you going to be cool with axing the founders, or is this going to put you in like a weird bind with the, because they are your homies and this is your server? Is this a non-starter of a proposal? What is your thoughts? But he hasn't really replied to me either, so I'm not quite sure what to make of.
okay. I was gonna ask. I was like, did he actually reply?
No, I'm waiting for his kind of response. But for the most part, he was pretty much all for a CTO, like with my, I guess, with having me front some of the CTO action. So I don't want
Yeah,
to say that this isn't entirely presumptuous that we're going to be able to CTO the Discord. He seemed totally cool with CTOing the Discord, and me, kind of spearheading some of this. So I don't want to. But I also realized that he wasn't maybe quite aware that we're going to propose an idea where we're going to kick his homies, right?
yeah,
But so that's why I kind of want to get his feedback on what he thinks. I want to get Benito's feedback, but I do want to say that we kind of softening the approach to all out coming down on them like that. So maybe that'll have him come around a bit.
yeah, yeah. He probably more responsive to not get the boot. I would hope. I would hope he would. At the very least, I hope he would reply.
Yep. All right. Another thing I added or amended in the white paper. It's up here. Okay, yeah, the section called Phase Zero, where we distance ourselves from artifact branding and we kind of rebrand around CloneX. And I proposed having something like a CloneX marketplace and a CloneX DAO. Someone brought up rightfully the good job that he kind of went through. He went through the IP fine print, and so yeah, basically following community consultation, some concerns have been voiced about utilizing the CloneX branding and how it's protected by the existing IP agreement. Therefore, out of an abundance of caution, we may need to avoid the use of CloneX branding in the case of the DAO or the marketplace, because there is specific language about using the branding to commercialize in certain ways. There's a real legalese language to it, but basically it boils down to if you try to sell or raise money, et cetera, et cetera. So just a little amendment to this. We'll probably still go ahead and rename the Discord something around CloneX. I still think it's best to rebrand around CloneX. Because like I don't see us selling physicals no more, right? There's not going to be an Artifact Nike shoe collab anymore. There's not going to be a shoe collabs period. Forget the physicals. I think we really got to put that out of the picture. And in the case of this Improbable CEO mentioning how he wants to potentially acquire, I don't think he's not doing it for the physicals or to sell people shoes, right? He's doing it for the digital side to bring avatars into his metaverse. So really, the physical apparel association with Artifact, that leaves the outdoor, and then we're left with mostly CloneX. So that's still kind of the focus here. But with that said, CloneX might be a little delicate of an IP matter. And so when it comes to things like, the drip token, marketing drip, the DAO, the marketplace, these things that are intended to kind of generate revenue streams or raise investor money, we might have to be careful in how we use the CloneX branding with that. So I just amended this part of the white paper to basically kind of back off of going too heavy into the CloneX branding when it comes to those aspects. And you might fall back to something else, right? I was thinking maybe truncate it to just CX. It'll be the CX marketplace rather than the CloneX marketplace. Or somebody earlier mentioned that the project used to be originally called Project Akira.
Yeah,
Maybe we could fall back to Project Akira. So instead of being like the CloneX marketplace, maybe it could be like the Project Akira marketplace, or just Project Akira in some way, something like that. But yeah, we might have to be more mindful of how we use the CloneX branding. Maybe can't lean into it as heavy as I originally thought. So that's something I changed in the white paper.
And maybe that's more beneficial. I mean, you get away from the CloneX stigma right now completely, which is maybe good.
Yeah, it could be good, and yeah, it could prevent some of the heat from coming down on our heads. So something to think about. But hey, with any luck, maybe the Improbable guy will actually acquire it, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, I assume they have some better legal team than I would say myself.
Yeah, we'd hope. Well, yeah, we hope so. Be like a formal kind of purchase and thing. Somebody pointed out as well that because Nike's like a publicly traded company, if they bring a juicy enough deal to the table, Nike would be obligated to bring that to the shareholders, right? Even if they have they really don't want to let it go, at some point, if somebody gives you a fair enough offer, you're kind of obligated to tell the board. Uh, there's an offer on the table to acquire this, and the money's there. So it's almost at some point if the offer is juicy enough, they can't say no.
Yeah. Or even if they keep the Artifact brand and you just purchase Animus and clones, and just let them have everything that's associated with Animus and clones. Just those two things. That would be good
Yep.
too. Let them keep their shoes and all that other stuff. That way they don't have to actually announce a sale of the Artifact brand. They can keep it if they want to shelve it, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. If the artifact and the app part is tricky, you also got to remember the artifact blade. If you look at it, has a Nike swoosh in it. I don't know if people know this, but there's like a swoosh within the blade. And so that so if I just point that out to say that Artifact and Nike might be a little inseparable at some point, so you might not be able to
Yeah.
extract the shoe, the dunks, the the metaverse sneakers away from Nike. Maybe that's going to have to kind of maybe they have a fine agreement that's no, this stays, but you can keep this. And the main thing being, can you get the clones? Can you get the Animus? And can you inject them into your new metaverse? That'd be dope.
Yeah, I mean that'd be ideal, honestly. Let them keep their brand if we keep the asset.
All right. The only other thing I'll point out in terms of changes to the white paper is over here. Okay, yeah, this section here, I just put, because it was unclear, kind of like, what are going to be priorities, because some of this is just like, this is a wish list, right? Like, a lot of this is not going to be doable for a lot of reasons, right? Between IP maybe conflicting, to the fact that you might need a big fat fucking budget to develop some of these things. Just to give people an idea, because I kind of realized after the last stream and conversation, some of these are like high priority items, and some of these are low priority items. Some things are feasible and some things are less feasible, especially if you don't have any money to really put into this.
Yeah.
So I kind of gave the high feasibility stuff a high star rating, and then the low feasibility stuff a low star rating. So I kind of went through all the suggestions here or the proposals, and the stuff that's like doable, that's like low cost and doable and kind of within our immediate purview, I gave it like a high rating. So stuff like Clone Council has got 4 stars because this is pretty doable. We can definitely establish a council, start assigning people roles, and handle things like comms and just kind of brand leadership and things like this. This is doable. Dedicated marketplace and restoring royalties. It's only got a 2-star rating because, well, it's a little delicate. It could be a bit costly to develop a dedicated marketplace. It still would be a relatively high priority matter because, this is one of the few ways I've really come up with for raising revenue. But it could be a little costly to develop, so it's kind of split down the middle. I gave it a 2-star rating. Drip token. This is probably the thing that inspired the star rating system. Is that I find the especially since the CTO talk has come out, you've seen people already launch tokens. Like number one suggestion from people is like, do a drip. That CTO drip it, just give a drip. And I find that kind of cringy, kind of grifty. I'm not fundamentally against a drip token personally. But like it's the math has got to make sense. I don't want to pump and dump or something that's going to cause even more grief or disgrace to the brand. So like I do want to do a drip, but it's got to make sense, and it's probably got to come much later down the road. As a result, I've given Drip a 1-star rating in terms of priority because, yeah, it's kind of like a distant promise. We'd have to get a lot more shit kind of lined up before we even talk about Drip. So I put a 1-star rating on it just so people kind of understand that, because everybody's horny for a Drip token, but it's not a high priority thing, and I don't want it kind of as a focus until so many other things come together first. So Drip token got a single star. CloneX Treasury, this has got a 4-star rating, just because, as mentioned earlier, we got the vials donated. We opened those. I got a bunch of MXs donated that I already sold, and all my space pods that I got donated also sold. So it's not a lot by any means. This really is only a little bit, 5 clones and a handful, a few $100 worth of Ethereum is not a lot, but hey, it's there. It's a treasury. It's not hard to maybe set up a multi-sig in the near future to manage the treasury, decentralize it a little bit, so it's not just in my control. So I gave this a 4-star rating. I do think we need to kind of formalize the treasury in the near future. All right, lore building, I also gave a 4-star rating. Lore is something I would love to kind of develop, and technically this should not be insanely difficult to at least get some ideas down on paper where we want to take the story. We don't have to make a full motion picture just yet. Maybe we could just get some ideas down as to what the clone universe will actually look like. Shoutouts to Henyo joining the chat. Coming in a little later. You missed a bit of the conversation already, but welcome aboard. Big shoutouts to Henyo. All right, so yeah, lore building, I gave a 4-star rating because I do think that's very doable. I already got a lot of ideas already on paper. I already came up. I'm a big anime manga guy, so I like to think I cooked up a pretty cool universe that I eventually want to present to the homies. Yeah. AI agent. I didn't really know how to mark this. This is kind of like this looks like it's already under development by Sam. I don't know how big of a priority this is. Seems like it's already the ball's in somebody else's court as it is, so I kind of gave it a 1 star. Project Phoenix 2 stars because I'm just not sure like anything to do with Phoenix is going to be development intensive and going to require money. Like right now there's a big gap between where Phoenix is now and like something that's like a playable game or like anything that really people want to get into. As a result, I gave it kind of a 2 star priority rating. CloneX World Tour, 1 star rating because it's it doesn't seem like a mega priority just yet. But this is like a relatively low cost affair. This really doesn't need to cost us almost anything. You just need to assign regional ambassadors to kind of do maybe local meets in people's areas. So maybe this could go up to a 2 star rating simply because, well, there's not a lot investment required in that. Creator contracts also gave it a 1 star rating just because it's not a massive priority and we don't have much funds to work with just yet. With that said, what would I add? I just wanted to add one last thing before I hand it over. Recently teased was, here, I'll put it on screen. Was it Samuel? Maybe it was Harlan. Was it Yarlin? No, I think it was. Was it Beb? Either way, what was it? It was Samuel. Samuel posted. Samuel posted this card game. You guys might have seen this tweet. I'm gonna dig it up in just a. Oh, right here. So this is like a little tease of something they're working on. This is extremely preliminary. Clearly, they were just trying to get an idea down on paper. But some kind of like Animus-based card game type thing. This really wasn't much here besides just cards kind of being printed on screen. But this got people a little excited. Some people in the chat were like, "Oh, this is so cool. We'd love a card game. What would it take to develop this thing?" And just like, I don't know, man. This is a really preliminary idea. You can tell they really didn't get much further than this little screenshot here. So, yeah, this is an example, I guess, of something that you could build out through Project Phoenix, but even this idea here just got so much more work involved in it. So it kind of goes to demonstrate that Project Phoenix, before you could even kind of build anything out of it, it's going to require a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of development, and even then, I question, like, okay, let's say you deliver like a card game. Who in the community really going to play it? Like, is the money going to be worth the investment, or is the game or whatever you kind of deliver going to be worth the investment? I really do question prioritizing anything to do with Phoenix and Phoenix development, just because like I'm not convinced many people in Web3 or in this community are even here to actually game. So that's just my kind of thinking, and also reflects why I gave Phoenix a 2-star rating on the white paper. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm not going to cover everything else just because there's not too many people in here, and most of you probably already looked over the white paper, so I just wanted to cover some of the updates to the white paper. It'll be ongoing. Appreciate Bogey for chiming in. Kind of hosted this for you, big guy. Happy you came through to give me some of your feedback.
Thank you.
Lair, I see you. Obilu, I also see you. I don't know if you guys are looking to chime in at all. If you have any feedback, now's a good time to give it. If not, no hard feelings. Otherwise, okay, I'll pass it back to Bogey. Bogey, you have any other thoughts, any other reflections, or any other feedback on the white paper? Any feedback at all on this potential acquisition by the Improbable CEO? anything at all, you tell me. You give your thoughts. You spill it now.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. No, again, great job on that. As far as the improbable, I like again. I think the ideal situation would be they could get the clone and animus assets. Again, I think taking artifact and name, I don't see a benefit in that at all. Not at this point. So that would be amazing. And if they could pay for that and get that legally done, that'd be ideal. And then I guess we could, the rest of the ball could get rolling. But if they couldn't, or if Nike's like not willing to give up those assets, at least to them, what would be our next steps as far as what we could do to prepare, I guess, for whenever we can do something? Is there like any actionable things we can do right now other than what we're doing? Because this is great, of course. More organized than probably half the projects in Web3. And so I guess my question would be like, so for anything that's like 4-star, is that something that we can start or put forth effort in even right now?
Yeah, sorry, I heard all that. Just had to walk away for a second.
No, you can.
Yeah, I do think. Well, I tell you like what I would, because hearing that there's a potential acquisition, first a rumor and now this tweet, of potential acquisition or something going on behind the scenes.
Oh, it broke up
For an
for us. Well,
acquisition.
it broke up for a second.
No worries. Yeah, I was just saying that this whole thing might change. Just the rumor slash this tweet today about a potential acquisition kind of changes things up a little bit. Maybe we should consider throwing the brakes on like a hardcore CTO right here, right now, if there is an acquisition quietly going on in the background. So I guess what I would do first is, go through some channels and see what people know. Is this for real? Is this guy just is there something to this acquisition rumor? Is something really happening? Is there any hope at all of a shift in of them moving the IP over to somebody through a sale? I kind of inquire into that just to kind of help maybe strategize and work on this. But in terms of immediately actionable things, either way, I still think we can shift the Discord toward a CloneX kind of rebranding. So I guess like the easy stuff, I would slowly rebrand to CloneX, like the Discord. That's something I would move on. So basically, the section labeled Phase 0 would be something I would work on, which is rebranding the Discord, shifting the team roles around. Like I don't think there's any point in having artifact team roles when like guys are literally. I don't know if you noticed on Twitter today, like several people on the staff are like, "Oh, it's been a good run. This is my last day. I'm officially out." Like guys, the artifact team is like out the door, right? These guys have put in their time. They turn out the lights in the office and they're out, right? So I think it's time to start taking people's artifact team role away in the Discord. The artifact's gone. Why do we need artifact team roles? So I would move ahead with reorganizing the Discord, removing people's team roles, and then move on to the next part, which would be the council. I guess you can call it the Clone Council. Start establishing who wants to fill what role. See if we have to do an election or a vote to bring them in. And so, as we remove people from the official artifact team, we bring Team CloneX online and start assigning people roles. Maybe basic stuff for now. So that would include things like the treasury, work on multi-sigging that, and I guess that would kind of cover it, right? So really it's just kind of about changing up the appearances, right? Work with the rebranding, restructure the team as far as like the official roles in the Discord are concerned. And I guess the next thing that could really be worked on is start discussing, the lore. The lore to me is like something that's kind of an easy go-to because it's really just fan fiction at the time being. It'd be us just kind of brainstorming a certain kind of universe or a story. I got something already in mind that I'd probably present to people pretty soon. Something along those lines. Those are the things that are kind of immediately actionable to me.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with all that. I think the lore would be really cool. I know there's the other channel or the other Discord, the Fallout Discord. I know someone wrote some lore in there as well.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Have you had the invite to that or seen the invite?
Yeah,
Somebody's posted it a
yeah, of
couple
course, of
times.
course. Yep. What kind of lore? What kind of lore did they post? Was it Bobo by any chance? Who posted?
Let me see. Where did I see it? Creator stuff. It was New Konami.
Ah, okay, right on. Any quick synopsis? What was he got? Does it build on the existing artifact lore? Do you come up with something original? What's he got?
Uh, it looks pretty original.
All right. I might have to check that.
Yeah, I think this is.
Hopefully, we got some creatives who want to collab on a CloneX world building exercise. You know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, it's like
And
something. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I mean, then that's low hanging fruit, right? Like
Yep, big time.
easy for us to do.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think those are really, really good first steps. Doesn't really things can shake out in the back end while we still uh, keep the ball rolling on the front end. I do, I do like the starting to try to rebrand everything. I think that's a great first step. Just so like just say there's a takeover or so the acquisition or anything happens, kind of like moving away from the stigma is already done at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
Other than that, I mean, other than like the first, first steps of what we can do now, present day, I love everything you said so far. I really don't have
Appreciate it. Yeah,
any crazy
the other
feedback.
thing we could do is the other thing I'm planning to do is just host more of these types of sessions, right? Get people like you coming through, giving feedback, and just kind of build on the CTO vibe, right? So we're not just kind of springing it on people.
Right.
That was one of the feedback I got is that like, okay, do we really have a consensus on this? You know, like yes, you're talking to people and you're presenting ideas, but like a tiny fraction of the community is even around anymore. Less of them are even in the Discord, you know. So it's like for you to build on a CTO, you still gotta get like more people, into the. You gotta get people looped in. Gotta host more sessions like this. So that's kind of what I'm planning to do. I kind of want to cover more time zones, do a bunch of these on Twitter Spaces. I don't feel like there's any rush, There really isn't like a mega rush where we got to execute on things. And that's another thing I asked Connie in chat. What's the timeline for because he told me he's cool with us kind of like doing a CTO of the Discord, but what's the timeline for that? I kind of want to get an answer from him on, because I know they're not. Most people are kind of out the door, shutting out the lights, but there's still a few things up in the air. I don't get the impression he really wants to hand over the Discord just today or tomorrow. It might still take a little while to transition things, so there still looks like, Samuel's still like closing the contract and like shifting things to IPFS. The monoliths don't close till like the 11th. So it still feels like, we got probably a few weeks of transition period ahead of us. So I'm not rushing any of this. So I'm probably going to take the next few weeks to, like I said, do outreach, loop in more people, do more of these sessions to gather feedback, do a Twitter Spaces, and do it across multiple time zones to get more people's feedback. So that's another thing like on the to-do list over the next few weeks. In terms of like immediate action, is it just going to be to like get people in looped in, right? I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Hard to do a CTO if most people are not even like they don't even know what's going on, right? We do kind of got to raise awareness. So that's something I'm trying to prioritize.
Okay, I love it. Hey, if you need, just let me know what you need help with.
All good, man. I appreciate you coming through today. You know, you're my wingman on this Monday night.
Appreciate it. No, thank you for having me. Thanks for setting this up.
My pleasure, man. I appreciate you coming through. But I guess we're gonna wrap it here. Killed an hour. Time to call it a night. We'll do another one soon.
Okay. Yeah, let me know.
All right. Shout outs to Lair and Obiu in the chat. Thanks for coming through, guys. If you have any feedback, go drop it in by text in the CTO chat. Much love to y'all. Gonna call it here. See you in a bit.
See you. You too.
Peace.
Thanks.